Hazardous and toxic waste. Hazardous waste are those that may contain toxic substances generated from industrial, hospital, some types of household waste. These waste could be corrosive, inflammable, explosive, or react when exposed to other materials. Simple define a hazardous waste is a waste with properties that make it dangerous or capable of having a harmful effect of human health or the environment. Hazardous waste is generated from many sources, ranging from industrial, manufacturing, process waste to batteries and may come in many forms, including liquids, solid gases, and sludge. Hazardous waste include ignitable. Ignitable materials are those that might easily ignite. Corrosive materials could bore through steel due to acidity. Toxic materials, poisonous and endanger human health. Every year, at least 1,000 new chemicals are produced, including countless synthetics that do not decompose in nature. Chemicals stay in the environment for decades, particularly as carcinogens or cancer-causing compounds are converted by organisms to more toxic form.
So now we are bound to our last topic, which is the nuclear waste. Nuclear waste, it is a byproduct from nuclear reactors, fuel processing plants, hospitals, and research facilities. It is generated while decommissioning and dismantling nuclear reactors and nuclear facilities. Also, nuclear waste become hazardous because of its radioactivity for only few 10 years and is routinely disposed of near surface disposal activities. Also, nuclear waste is the certain of radioactive waste such as uranium melt tailings, spent reactor fuel, and other radioactive waste. These materials can remain radioactive and dangerous to human health for thousands of years. And that's all for my topic, and I hope you learned something. And thank you for listening. Thank Good morning, everyone. My name is Josie Doronina, and I'm here to discuss some parts of the hazardous and toxic waste. So first, I'll be discussing about the pollution. So what is a pollution? It is a substance whose presence of quality, physical, or chemical reaction that pose a risk to the health of our environment. Also, it defines as the introduction of substance whose deleterious to the health of our environment. So when we say pollution, it refers to the negative impact of the environment or to the environment or organism that lives within the affected environment. For example, water pollution, air pollution, soil pollution, or light pollution, and of course, the noise pollution. Thank you. So the second topic is about contamination. So when we say contamination, it refers to the altering state or quality of an organism or environment due to the unnatural increase of amount of a certain substance. So when we say contamination, it is also the action or state of being impure by the population poisoning. So contamination may came from food or water that is already contaminated. So the third topic is about air pollution. When we say air pollution, it is the presence of substance in the atmosphere that can be harmful to the health of the humans and as well as all the living things. And air pollution is one of the common toxic that is experienced by all of us, whether we lived in an urban or rural place. Air contamination can't be avoided, such as smoke belching from cars, contaminated smoke from the factories, and etc. So the next topic will be smog. When we say smog, it is the urban signboard of pollution. Also, smog derived from the combination of smoke and fog that describes the unsightly pale brownish to black haze that hangs in the horizon in populated cities. Also, it is composed of cocktails of pollutants that threatens health. Also, the word smog was coined in the early 20th century and is contraction of the word smoke and fog due to opacity and odor. This smog can cause lung cancer to humans' health. Right. So the next topic is photochemical smog. When we say photochemical smog, it is the result of chemical reaction in the presence of sunlight. The primary component of smog is tropospheric ozone, which is highly toxic, nitric acid, while formaldehyde, aproxysyl nitrate, or PAN are the other major components. The negative effect of smog includes the eye irritation, serious respiratory problems, and memory loss. Also, it is a mixture of pollutants that are formed when nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds, or the VOCs, react to the sunlight, creating a brown haze above cities.
My name is Jake Andre Pangan and I'm about to report the major air pollutants, the greenhouse gases, the suspended particles, the three types of chemical, the benzene, arsenic, and asbestos, the heavy sedimentation, the thermal pollution, the habitat fragmentation, overexploitation, and exotic species. The first is the major air pollutants. The two major groups of air pollutants are the oxide of nitrogen and the oxide of sulfur. Oxide of nitrogen are a mixture of gases that are composed of nitrogen and oxygen. They aggregate asthma and result in people's predisposition to bronchitis and pneumonia, cause chest colds and coughing. NO2 is known to cause heart, lung, kidney, and liver damage. Sulfur oxides are a group of molecules made of sulfur and oxygen atoms. Sulfur oxides are pollutants that contribute to the formation of acid rain as well as particulate pollution. Sulfur dioxide affects the respiratory system, particularly lung function. Irritation of eyes, causing coughing, and aggregates conditions such as asthma and chronic bronchitis. The greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide together with methane and nitrous oxide are being linked to global climate change, contribute to the atmospheric pollution, and may bring about adverse effect to human health. Greenhouse gases contribute to respiratory disease from smog and air pollution, extreme weather, food supply disruption, and increased wildfires. Suspended particles. Suspended particles are any small bits of solid materials or liquid came from the industry's smelter, burning of fuels or woods, and soil cultivation that can become airborne. If they are sufficiently small diameter to maintain stability in air or any other gas, then they form an aerosol. Exposure to such particles can affect both your lungs and heart, like decreased lung function, increased respiratory symptoms such as irritation of airways, coughing, or difficult breathing. The three types of chemical, the benzene, arsenic, and asbestos. These are the chemical released by the chemical plants, industries, and vehicles. These are highly toxic that can cause cancer, cognitive disability, reproductive and respiratory malfunction, and other serious illnesses.
Lead, a component of gasoline and paint, is produced in the burning coal. In lead containing garbage in smelters and car battery plants, it may contaminate soils and dust. It is highly toxic to humans, particularly to the children, where it may cause mental retardation, convulsions, hallucinations, and disrupt kidney and blood function. What is the lead used today? Lead is still widely used for the car batteries. Pigments, ammunitions, cable sheetings, weights for lifting, weight belts for diving, lead crystal glass, radiation protection, and in some solders. Acid rain. The burning of fossil fuel releases sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, traces of mercury, and cadmium into the atmosphere when mixed with the water vapor and atmosphere. Acid rain destroys forests by leaching away soil nutrients that are important to plant growth, such as potassium, calcium, and aluminum. Rain is normally slight acidic with a pH of 5.6, but rain at pH 2.0 or less make it more acidic than vinegar or lemon. So, acid rain or acid deposition is a broad term that includes any form of precipitation with acidic components, such as sulfuric or nitric acid, that fall to the ground from the atmosphere in wet or dry forms. Include rain, snow, fog, hail, or even dust that is acidic. This attitude has excused all of the activities in agriculture until recently when it was shown that agricultural activities can be destructive to the environment through soil, water, and air pollution, soil erosion, salination, aquifer depletion, and climate change. So, soil contamination or soil pollution as part of land degradation is caused by the presence of xenobiotics, chemical, or other alteration in the natural soil environment. It is typically caused by industrial activity, agricultural chemicals, or improper disposal of waste. Fertilizer. Food supplements to crops, making them grow faster and giving more harvest than what is naturally possible. NPK or nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the three major components of fertilizer, are nutrients that plants need and enough of which are not naturally available to the in this age of intensive soil cultivation. Some fertilizer cause poisoning or similar to sub-lethal effect on the farmer. Some become aerosol fertilizer, get into ponds, lake, groundwater, or streams that eventually carry them to the sea. Fertilizer chemical sometimes supplied to the crops to increase their productivity. These are used by the farmers daily to increase the fertilizer containing the essential nutrients required by the plant, including nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus.
Eutrophication, the sudden influx of nutrients that enrich the water. In the sea, an example of such an algae bloom is the proliferation of unicellular dinoflagellates, so named because they appear to possess armor plates. Examples are Pyradium bahamensi and Genedium brevi, and a species of Gonialax and Pyradium, the toxic red tide organism that may cause death to marine and human life. Eutrophication. Start with fertilizers, which are rich in nutrients like nitrate and phosphate, are washed into the river or lake system. This leads to an increase in nutrient concentrations in the water. The nutrients are food for algae. The algae grow and reproduce quickly, forming a thick green bloom in the water. This algal bloom will absorb sunlight shining on the water, so the sunlight can reach the bottom. Plants who need this light to photosynthesis will die. The algae will also start to die when they eat up all the nutrients and run out of foods. It's a problem that should matter to you whether you live near the ocean or not. That's because it begins wherever people live and ends with damage to resources we all use and enjoy. It all starts when nutrients get into lakes and oceans. Remember, what waste to human can be food to plants and other creatures. So, eutrophication happens when nutrients are added to water which causes an algal bloom, cutting off sunlight and feeding bacteria. The bacteria use up oxygen in the water, which become anoxic, causing everything living in the water to die. Eutrophication in was reason why we need to be careful with fertilize when we are growing crops. Pest. Organism that humans find undesirable because it interferes with viruses, particularly those that affect crop of food production are pests to be eliminated. All plant species that compete with the chosen crops for nutrients, space, and sunlight are undesirable and are called. A pest is any organism that spreads disease, causes destruction, or is otherwise a nuisance. Some examples of pests are mosquitoes, rodents, and weeds. Not all insects are pests. Many different kinds of insects eat other insects and are beneficial species. A pest is any animal or plant which has a harmful effect on humans, their food, or their living conditions. Pests include animals which damage store food. Example, rats and mice may eat grain in silos, rice, or biscuits in shops and homes. Weeds. All plant species that compete with the chosen crops for nutrients, space, and sunlight are undesirable. Weeds are the plant that is growing in a place where a human wants a different kind of plant, or no plants at all. Any plant that crowds out cultivated plants, unwanted plant that grows in agriculture fields and extract the nutrients which are essential for the main crops. The two common weeds are amaranth and Taraxacum officinale. It is important to remove weeds from the fields because they rob soil, moisture, and nutrients from the crop and decrease harvest efficiencies. Weed generally term for any plant growing where it is not wanted, or other cultivated plants, when transplanted to new climates, escape cultivation and became weeds or invasive species. Pesticides have been developed and have become a requirement in a large-scale intensive cultivation. Pesticides are chemical substances that are meant to kill pests. In general, a pesticide is chemical or biological agent such as a virus, bacterium, antimicrobial, or disinfectant that deters, incapacitates, kills pests. There are 6 types of pesticide. Number 1. Insecticide is used to kill insects that are pests in agriculture, horticulture, or forestry, or that spread disease such as mosquito vectors. A path by which a disease is spread of malaria, yellow fever, and encephalitis. Number 2. Fungicide is used against fungi that cause diseases and other damage to crop, plants, and animals. Number 3. Rodenticide is used to control mice, rats, gophers, and other rodents that are pests in agriculture or around the home. Number 4. Herbicide is used to kill weeds, which are unwanted plants that interfere with some human purpose. Most used in agriculture and forestry. Is intended to release crop plants from competition, while horticultural use is mostly for aesthetics. Number 5. Molluscicides, also known as snail baits, snail pellets, or slug pellets, are pesticides against molluscs, which are usually used in agriculture or gardening. In order to control gastropod pests, especially slug and snail, which damage crops or other value plants by feeding on them. Number 6. Pesticide is chemical substance which is poisonous to fish. The primary use for pesticide is to eliminate the dominant species of fish in a body of water. As the first step in attempting to populate the body, of water with the different fish. They are also used to combat parasitic and invasive species of fish.
Hi, my name is John Ryan Preciado, and I'm here about to discuss installation and desertification, freshwater pollution, marine pollution, biodiversity loss, natural causes, destruction of habitat. As global temperature rise and the human population expands, our planet will be in desertification and the permanent degradation of the land and water population will be not able to work as well. While interpretations of the term desertification vary, the concern centers on human-caused land degradation in areas with low or variable rainfall known as drylands. These drylands account for more than 40% of the world's terrestrial surface area. While land degradation has occurred throughout history, the pace has accelerated, reaching 30 to 35 times the historical rate. According to the United Nations, this degradation tends to be driven by a number of factors, including urbanization, mining, farming, and ranching. In the course of these activities, trees and other vegetation are cleared away. Animal hubs funds the dirt and crops depleted nutrients in the soil. Climate change also plays a significant role in increasing the risk of drought. That's all. Thank you. Freshwater pollution is the contamination of streams, rivers, lakes, and groundwater. About 70% of untreated industrial waste is dumped into freshwater bodies in most developing countries, thereby polluting the unusable water supply, which is unsafe for drinking, bathing, fishing, and swimming. Marine pollution is a combination of chemicals and trash, most of which comes from land sources and washed or blown into the ocean. This pollution results into damage to the environment, to the health of all organisms and economic structures worldwide.
Siltation or heavy sedimentation. Siltation or heavy sedimentation is a process by which water becomes dirty as a result of fine mineral particles in the water. Negative impacts of it is a destruction of fish breeding areas, flooding, poor water quality affecting human and animal use, and increased resource user conflict. Thermal pollution. Thermal pollution is defined as a sudden increase or decrease in temperature of a natural body of water. Thermal pollution damages water ecosystem and reduce animal population, plant species, algae, bacteria, and multicelled animals that all respond differently to significant temperature changes.
Toxic heavy metal. A toxic heavy metal is any relatively dense metal or metalloid that is noted for its potential toxicity, especially in environmental contexts. The term has particular application in cadmium, mercury, and lead, all of which appear in the World Health Organization list of 10 chemicals of major public concern. Toxic are found in household, office, and commercial waste. Example of common products that routinely become part of toxic waste stream of industrial countries include batteries, polychloric device, pesticide, cell phone, and computers. Like arsenic, mercury, lead, cadmium, copper, iron, and zinc get into the sea from different sources. Certain level of metal compounds naturally occur in seawater from natural processes like erosion and volcanism. Some of these are in traces of useful marine organisms, particularly clams, are known to accumulate heavy metals. Like mercury, mercury causes convulsion, loss of muscular coordination, progressive and irreversible brain damage, and death. Mercury contamination has been found in clams, algae, barnacles, fish-eating birds, seal, sea lions, and dolphins. Is used in the production of plastic, chlorine, and caustic soda, lumber, and paper pulp in pesticide, anti-fouling paints, and pharmaceuticals. Cadmium is byproduct of zinc smelting used in the production of plastic, pigments, batteries, and electronic plating. The cadmium found in the zooplankton mollusks, particularly squid and seabirds, have not been shown to be hazardous to humans. Copper. Urban sewage contain a lot of copper from anti-fouling paint, electrical equipment, and wood preservation. Next to mercury and silver, and copper is the most toxic metal to marine organisms. And the last is lead. Come from leaded gasoline, paints, batteries, sheet of pipes, and fall back to earth in rain and snow, which is eventually flow to the sea. The green shell, Nautilus, has a tendency to accumulate metal but has a detoxifying mechanism for lead. Lead is not considered as a major public health hazard.
Is a oil spills. With oil, the, the plumage loses its water repellent property and thermal isolation capability and can become water luggage, making the bird vulnerable to sinking and drowning. Crude oil or refined petroleum may contain several thousand different compounds that are toxic individually or in combination. Oil spill should be cleaned up as quickly as possible before the oil emulsifies. In addition to this, oil is a toxic and harms to the environment where it was spilled affecting the wildlife in the animals. It is important to clean up oil spills quickly to the limit the damage to the environment. The sixth topic is a toxic and radioactive waste. This is a dump into the sea. The, na- the naturally radioactive from potassium 40, tritium H3, and decay products of uranium and thorium. It is expected that some genetic and morbidity disturbance affect this organism, enormously increase the risk from the radioactive hazard. Algae like Portreia alba and Enteromorpha. It comes accumulate radioactive waste.
Next is plastic. So plastics stick around in the environment for ages, that threatening wildlife and spreading toxins. Also, plastic contributes to the global warming. As we can see, plastic here in the Philippines is everywhere. And one of the main reasons that we're experiencing flood is because of the plastic that were stocked in the drainage. Also, this can harm the fish under the ocean, of course, because some of the tourists who are going to the beach just throwing their garbage in the ocean, and it can cause also to the water to be polluted. So the next topic is polychlorinated biphenyl, or the PCBs. Is an organic molecule of two benzene rings to which chlorine molecules are attached. Those are absorbed in the body and not easily excreted, being fat soluble and persistent. PCBs have been linked to deaths of seabirds and seals in the Baltic Sea. Also, PCBs can cause serious illness to humans, such as melanomas, lung cancer, gallbladder cancer, biliary tract cancer, brain cancer, and be linked to breast cancer because of the chemical that it's producing.